Morning, everyone. Morning, morning. How are we all? How are we all? I was looking a bit serious. I'm wearing my NADIA's, what are they called? Sue Perkins glasses. Oh, excuse me. The Facebook subs group is there but not active and can't post in it. Oh, okay. Total Storm Addict, hope you're well. Are you in the bush? What time is it in the bush? Bring back the bush. Sarah Watkins, Julie Everts, Freeze Spirit, Dushara Sivampu, Nicola Randall, Marcia Toms, Ellen Jones, Joanne Clements, Laurel Nichols, April Hill, Gabrielle, Pagey, Karen Bennett, Jennifer Hayhurst, Bethan Williams, Leslie S, Laura, Sonia Donovan, Total Storm Addict, Carol Moore, Lister, Angela Fitchie. Bloody hell. How are we all? How is everyone? I thought it was Friday today, because normally Nadia heads off to do the Friday loose, but it's not, it's Thursday. She's headed off to do Thursday loose. And you're getting a vlog later today, and we've got all sorts of exciting things happening at the weekend and going into next week. How are we all? Genuinely, how are we all? It's Leo, you woke up in a horrible nightmare. Oh my God, oh dear. James Jim Bob Smith, pooing in the sea. Is that what you're doing, or is that what you're planning to do? Or is that a sort of new philosophical mantra for dealing with the coronavirus? Or maybe it's a song by Bob Dylan. It is cold today, isn't it? Who'd have thought it was the middle of... Why am I wobbling the toe? Well, who'd have thought it was the middle of July? Gabrielle, does anyone feel the government have lost all sense of strategy with this virus? Miss One Trisha, how are you, Mark? I'm good, Miss One Trisha. Katie Jackson, you've been dying to shut the cupboard door all week. Never going to happen, not in this household, not until we get on top of things. Just going to have some water. Yum, yum, in my bum. Gabrielle, yes, I do feel like the government have lost all sense of strategy with this virus. It feels like a shambolic ricocheting from hither to thither, don't you think? Now we're all being told we've got to get on trains, even though 700,000 new unemployed, or nearly 700,000 people are now unemployed, an increase to the unemployment rate of 700,000, so 750,000 almost. But I'm sure Boris would like all of them also to get back on the trains, spend money they don't have. I mean, and this is the problem that I'm having with this whole, we've got to rescue, yeah, of course we've got to get as much of the economy back and running as possible, but you can't instruct people who can't afford to, or feel afraid to, or can't because they're shielding or whatever, to just go out. You just can't. Things have changed. You've let the genie out of the bottle. You've allowed people to realise that the concept of the office is a fraud. And it's also, even for business, here's the thing. If you're a business, we used to do this. This is why we brought our production company in-house to the house. Would we spend £12,000 to £16,000 a year on an office, or would we use that money to employ someone else? Employ someone else. That's what, so many companies may well turn their backs on their office spaces, or, may use sort of temporary office, these office bubbles that you can use, like WeWork and Regus and all that kind of stuff. Flexible office spaces, exactly, Nicola Randall, and use them. That's how we used to, whenever we have production meetings and stuff like that. I'm going to have one next week. Going to have a production meeting outside a coffee shop. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to be sat in a swanky office with a reception and a great big expensive neon light. I mean, it looks nice. It's great. Makes you feel egotistically like you've made it. But, so I just find it all an absolute nonsense. So I think this idea, employees and employers have to have an open conversation about what works best for them. Absolutely. And I don't think this isn't about just... to say that the government can't just tell everyone to get on the trains isn't about saying, oh, but everyone needs to protect their jobs. Of course they do. There's the train companies. There's the people who work for the train companies and all that. But I think to pretend that everyone is back at the place that they were before this started and there's been no impact on our finances, on people's inclinations, people's health, whether people have got a job or not, is an absolute joke. So it's not as simple as just saying, go straight in. Panty Mask 4. Okay, Jim's Jim Bob Smith. Afraid you're out of here, mate. Take care. Christine Bett, is that Toffee behind you? It is. She's in a funny old mood. And we've had, as you can see, quite a few deliveries behind me, which will appear in a vlog. Faith Goodman, Mark, did you know about the movie props auction? I did, because I filmed with the very company that do the movie props auction in our documentary about Star Wars. And the guy who runs it owns one of the original sort of model, you know, spaceships, X-Wing fighters or something. You would be staggered at the prices of things. Exactly, Hannah Prentice. People are struggling. They can't just go straight in. You're looking healthy today. Isn't that interesting? I don't feel at all healthy. I feel like a slobby old man. Quasar, economy reset. It is an economy. I think you're absolutely right, Quasar. I think an economy reset is what's going to happen. And I think this is the way I would manage things if I was the government. I'd be like, look, things aren't going to return to normal, but we're going to have to be responsive in such a way in setting up new jobs. And I thought this is what Boris Johnson was trying to do with his kind of almost, you know, FDR Roosevelt 5-year, 4-year, 3-year plan, whatever it is. Pump all money into infrastructure building, pump all money into creating new types of jobs so that, yes, there's a short-term blip in terms of unemployment, but then there are new projects that kick off the ground. This will adjust travel and transport, take away as much pressure, you know, from, you know, so the suburbs are doing better than the urban areas. It won't always stay like that, but maybe that means we need to reevaluate where we work and how we work. Are we saying in life that we can never question the finer details of how we do things? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it strikes me as really quite frightening if it's that rigid that we can't have any wriggle room whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? It's like I said to Nadia the other day, and I've said it on here before, and I do think if there's people out there, and everyone looks at their finances and thinks, oh, how long have we got before the, you know, the bears are at the door and all that kind of stuff, the wolves are at the door, that's it, the bears are coming in to growl, bears are going out in the woods, the wolves are coming to the door. And we all kind of probably kick ourselves that we don't have more of a sort of buffer zone of months and time to be able to just go, shit, I've got enough time to kind of recalibrate. But the country, the margin call on the country's economic system has been stretched to maximum with just 3 months. That's quite telling, isn't it? That should make us all feel a little less awful about how tight things are, because it's tight enough for the country. Do you see what I mean? And there's the country telling us all off, telling us how to do things, And actually, you know, the country hasn't got that much margin for wriggle room. So I'm not talking about overthrowing capitalism. I'm talking about a more compassionate capitalism that has flexibility within it. And I think you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You know, if there isn't flexibility coming out of something like this, then the next time we hit another crisis, we're going to have no maneuverability to be able to deal with it. It makes freaking common sense. This isn't radical revolutionary thought. This is sensible. You know, I always use the analogy of how do you manage your family finances or the family structure? You adjust, don't you? You adjust with what's being presented to you. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on one there. But you know what I mean? So these edicts that come down, like everyone must now travel on public transport. Look, you can say it, and some people might do it, but don't be surprised that it doesn't just happen. It's not just about people not wanting to work. It's about people having the right in a democracy. Surely democracy is as important as capitalism. So in a democracy, they have the right to pursue the capitalist ethos. Because, you know, loads of people are making money from home and loads of people are being able to work from home. A lot of people are more productive from home. We were talking to a friend yesterday on a live, and they were saying they are infinitely more productive from home. Anyway, sorry, Claire Love, there we go. It's worrying that traffic is already really heavy into Devon and along the A30 near where I live. We need tourism, but in a pandemic, people need to be wise and sensible. Yeah, I have to pay my £400 for my daughter's bus pass within a few weeks, but our college is going to be back to normal. Yeah, I mean, so many people are hesitating. You know, this idea that the government wants everyone just to ping back. We are all coming out of our shells, aren't we? We have to be a bit slow. Susan Stone, it's your husband, Caden. What a lovely name, Caden. Happy birthday, Caden. And it's your 17th wedding anniversary. No, it's not our 17th. What was it this year for us? 2002 to the 18. It was 18 years. Wow. Yeah. Done 9977. I've only just taken receipt of the book of stuff, but I'm looking forward to having a flick through it. Lockdown, Sabrina Neal equaled community spirit. Gone already. Totally agree. Jane Derbyshire, I'd love to go on Question Time. I get so frustrated because the problem with a lot of politics is people are so rigidly, politicians especially, are so rigidly identified by their political position rather than what's, the best position for everyone. Or, I'm not anti-capitalism, I'm not anti-money, I'm not anti-socialism. I'm pro keeping it all going in the most equitable and fair and kindest way possible. And I just think, there has to be some compassion for what people have gone through. I mean, I have to confess, it feels like Boris Johnson didn't come close to death, and I'm beginning to wonder in retrospect whether the whole bloody thing was a total fraud. If he'd gone through what he'd gone through, he would have a bit more humanity, I think, in the way he's going about stuff, and he just doesn't seem to have any. I have underlying health problems. I don't want to go outside, too scared. Jess edits. There we go. Elizabeth, we created the economic systems, therefore we are the ones that can fix and change them. The idea that we have to work for it and not mould it to work for us is a joke. Well, I think, see, where I disagree with, say, a lot of far left and all that sort of stuff is I don't think the system we have was necessarily engineered with a malice. I'm not saying it's not run by horrible people with self-interest and commercial concerns. But, over time, things have just slid, haven't they? Things have just sort of become the norm. And you can sort of see how, just economics have changed over the years. But, so I don't sign up to this idea that there's this sort of chattering few of lizard sort of creatures at the top of the bloody, all these nonsense conspiracy theories. I just think that, it's like anything. It's like when I was drinking. I would try and control my drinking, but it would drift. With all the best will in the world, I would drift through habit, through force of nature, through a desire just to kind of forget my worries. And I think societally, we do the same thing. So it's not always about pointing the finger and blaming, but it is about stopping sometimes and just going, hang on a minute, is that just because this is the way we do things, is it necessarily the right way to do things? Do you see what I mean? I don't know. I just find it's funny. I've noticed whenever I talk like this, more and more thumbs down come in. So that must be the sort of those agitative sort of individuals that kind of find anything that questions anything a bit too kind of Guardian readery. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I think it's brilliant, and I think it's really important to question everything. Doesn't mean you deconstruct stuff and have a revolution. I think if you can't question anything, why are we humans? Why are we here? Why are we on this effing earth? And this whole bloody crisis has given us a chance to do that. Thank you, PhD Pickles. Sometimes conspiracies can be real. Well, it's interesting. What I do find funny is when people, if you have a critical stance on something, it's quite a quick and easy thing to say, are you a conspiracy theorist? Conspiracy theories at their worst entertain no other choices or can never be dissuaded from what they think by fact or whatever. But I've always used this quote before where it's like when people often say, if you're sort of trotting out a thought about something and like I'm thinking like the paedophile scandal in Westminster when they said there's no evidence of cover-up. Now, I'm not talking about whether there was or wasn't a ring. But it strikes me that you can't ever say there's no evidence of a cover-up, because if a cover-up is successful, there'll be no evidence of a cover-up. So you can have successful cover-ups. Do you see what I mean? And I think government and lines of authority know that. They are incredibly sophisticated and clever at managing how we think and how we operate. The government have so many social scientists that advise them on how things will play with the population. They really do. It isn't as ramshackle as it seems. Though at times there are decisions that are coming out of this government within this crisis where you begin to realise that the private education, and this is not a plug for our book, though it could be, private education isn't a guarantee of intellect. Really isn't. Really isn't. God, that coffee's good. Whew, Jesus Christ. Anyway, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because Nadia mentioned this morning, I think they might be talking about it on Loose Women, is would you let your kids be given the virus in order to fight for a vaccine? They apparently, I think Oxford University or somewhere have asked for 3,000 volunteers, and they've got something like 30,000 come through. How would you feel if your child, or Sharona, enjoy your tattoo? Fantastic. No. Oh, the vast majority is saying no. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was at university years ago, a friend of mine came in to where we were living, and he said, I'm going to get my finger cut off and re-sewn back on. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, for £3,500, some part of the NHS or some medical establishment, recognised medical establishment, we're going to cut his finger off, test a new surgical procedure and sew it back on. And there was a kind of 95% guarantee there would be no long-term damage. But for that, he'd get £3,500. And that was back in 1990. And he did it. And he had £3,500. He took us all out for a beer. And the irony was, I was just telling the guys before they went off, we had our pints at a pub in Canterbury, if anyone knows it, called the Bishop's Finger. It's funny, isn't it? So for trials, and does anyone also remember years ago, there was that drug trial in the UK? And it's not at all funny, but I mean, I joke about these things with the girls all the time. Don't do that, your head will explode. But there was a situation where a number of the volunteers had such an adverse reaction to a drug that their heads inflated. Does anyone remember that? And so there were photographs of people with giant heads. Leo, you've been in that pub. It's near Westgate. They teach what at school now, Velvet Vicky Waiting? You do remember that. You do remember that. Well, that's what I think about this. So if Maddie came to me and said, oh, Margaret, you're liking the Berlin vlogs. I have to say, I'm really proud of those vlogs. I really like them. We didn't have, it wasn't quite the time we were expecting, but I really like them. I thought there was a real good balance. Go to our Berlin vlogs, guys. A balance of history, sensitivity to Germany, and just sheer mad silliness between me and Ned. No chance, so unethical, making potentially lethal decisions on behalf of your child, complete lack of ethics and integrity to allow that. Just because they are young, they have rights and choices. I entirely agree. That's my take on it. For any child underage, it's not their choice to make. But if Maddie came to me, or say Izzy came to me, or Fleur came to me and said, look, Dad, I'm going to do this, I would strongly advise them not to. But if they were being offered an awful lot of money, it'd be very hard to say no, wouldn't it? I mean, I was trying to work out, but then you could argue, does the nation need people? The youngest people are the least vulnerable. Does the country need volunteers? Is it like the war effort? Is it like signing up for war? Oh, Karen, good question. Yeah, did his finger still work? It did still work. I mean, not only still work, but I seem to remember him being able to do that virtually minutes after the operation. I mean, I think it was a very quick, like that, very quick. Money or potential death, Sabrina Neal. I know. Carol Moore, trying to concentrate on what you're saying while looking after 9 and 7-year-old grandchildren. Send a great big hug and a hello to your 9-year-old and 7-year-old grandchildren. Darren Boyd, can I say thank you to you, Mark, for all your mental health chats, not related to what you're talking about, but wanted to thank you. Thank you very much, Darren Boyd. I hope you're well, and I hope you're keeping good. Berlin vlogs, oh, thanks, Kia C. So yeah. So sorry, I didn't expect to go down a wormhole of political shenanigans, but yeah, I really would, So I think right. I'd love to do question time because I get sick to death of the same answers all the effing times, all the time. Mark, that look dirty heart. What's that about? What look? But read the virus and the vaccines and whether I would allow my children to volunteer. I think we're going to have a lot of positive news flow. I think Oxford University are publishing some details, aren't they, on Monday, I think? So I think we could be in for some potentially positive news. There's also the vaccine phase 1 trials in America that we're doing well, that we were talking about yesterday. So getting back on public transport is the big thing today. Boris Johnson telling everyone to get back on. I see. To answer your question, Velvet Vicky Waiting, as part of the curriculum, they show footage of the paid volunteers who died or almost died. The story. Okay. Thank you, Velvet Vicky. Morning, Penny Legate. In other news, so obviously unemployment rates have gone up. Thousands of people are fighting for holiday refunds. I'm one of them. I'm kind of in dispute at the moment with Virgin Atlantic because me and Nanny Di were heading out there to New York to do some vlogging and to go to the Tribeca Film Festival, which obviously was called off, and trying to get a clear answer from Virgin Atlantic as to whether we can rebook, reuse our money, all that kind of stuff is hard. So thousands of people, here we go, consumer organisation Which says it has built a dossier of 14,000 complaints from people struggling to get their money back for cancelled flights or holidays. And this is the problem. On the one hand, you could argue, of course, the companies are struggling, they need as much leverage and finance as you can get, but, you know, individuals are suffering too. It's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard to work out the economics of me versus the economics of us. And that is the balancing act. It's a really difficult balance. And I wish we had governance that admitted that that's a complicated thing, rather than every time politicians come onto the podium, they stand there pontificating about fact or stating policy without any real sense of consultation or even just admission that this is tricky, that we're looking into this, do you know what I mean? Kanye West has got his president application into Oklahoma, I think it was. Doesn't he need to get, if he doesn't get them into every, sorry, I'm flapping around here a bit, but if he doesn't get them into every state, can he can't then run for president, can he? I think he has to get, doesn't he have to get his ballots in everywhere? Are you going away anywhere in the UK this year? Watch this space. Only if we can do it safely. Here we go, call to inject volunteers in COVID-19. So is the Oxford University COVID-19 vaccine programme has said such studies should be feasible and informative. There are now 23 coronavirus vaccines in clinical trials around the world, which let's just pause for a second and congratulate the scientists everywhere that they are. Oh, Kanye West has pulled out. It said he stepped down this morning and pulled out. God, well, hang on, Kanye West's in, he's out, he's shaking it all about. What's going on? So, yeah, I just think, you know, scientists are working overtime to try and get a resolution to this. I think that's quite something. What is the story on Kanye West? Oh, right, so he stepped down from running. Oh, that's funny. So that was a short-lived fly in the... let's have a look. Kanye West, president. Never thought I'd put that in. Is officially... Oh, 10 hours ago. Kanye West is running for president. Hang on, I can't keep up with this. What? Kanye West, Daily Express, is running for president despite dropout claims. Kanye West is reported to have dropped out of the presidential race after extremely low... Kanye is running for... This doesn't make any sense. It's said to have dropped out of the 2020. However, he may still be officially running for president after someone filed a presidential bid under the Kanye... Steve Kanye, according to the Metro, some polls showed Mr. West had the backing of just 2% of voters. It doesn't make any sense. None of this story makes any sense. I mean, if you can't be coherent about whether he's in or out, God forbid if he was in charge. Yeah, we've been watching your holiday vlogs and I've adopted the phrase spark of joy. Oh, Zoe, that's from NADIA, Sawalha off the telly, actually. Distraction techniques in America. What if the hokey cokey is what it's all about? That's a very important question, Laurel Nichols, really. It is. You do the hokey cokey and you turn around. Is that what it's all about? Oh, hokey cokey cokey. Sometimes I wish our leaders would just sing a song. I think we'd all relate to them a bit more. I wish they'd break into songs sometimes. I think it just would just sort of like take the stress out of things. You know, if Boris Johnson got him, just did a fast shoe shuffle, bit tap dancing, came out with a sort of top hat and cane, putting on the Ritz. Do you know what I mean? I think sometimes, maybe it's my bipolar, but sometimes I just wish that we weren't all constantly observing boring social etiquette. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I just wish people had a random sense of fun and that this constant formality in the public sphere sodded off. Do you know what I mean? Witty doing a line dance. Wonderful. Great idea, Julie Evans. I'd love it. Thank you, Tina Benino. Sending our loves back to Australia. We hope to go back one day. Yeah, Gabrielle, let's all run outside naked. I mean, and if not run outside naked, let's all run out, I don't know, wearing a saucepan on our head. People are very judgy. You know, and Sometimes I overhear people when I'm out talking and I think, are you genuinely in a relationship or friends? Because that sounds so formal. Sounds so polite. I'm not like saying, oh, it's just like loosen up. Come on, I know that everyone has got a little bit of crazy in them. And all that society does is tells us not to be a little bit crazy. I don't even listen to my own podcast, Dr. Natalie Blue. We record them. I can't stand hearing my own voice. I don't watch any of the vlogs back either. Honestly, I don't. I get them out. I mean, I watch them to edit them, but I don't look at it again. I think if you guys like it, thank God for that. But sometimes I just close my eyes and I just go, oh my God, I hope it's okay. Not new glasses, these are Nadia's. She's really annoyed that I'm wearing them because I have ordered some new ones. I really should try. I mean, look, right now, I can just about make it out. And of course, what's on my t-shirt, Nicholas Sinner? It's a strange head. It's a strange face. It's a strange shadow face. Louise Jones, I know what you mean. I'm worried about a second wave, but at the end of the day, you know, I might just do this with the second wave. And that'd be the third wave. Suzanne Stone, you lay on your bed and listen to our podcast. Sorry that they've been a bit miserable. We just recorded the Confessions of a Modern Parent, which we're going out on Friday, tomorrow morning, in fact. So that's all good. It's all about the mistakes we make as parents. What are the top mistakes that we make as parents? Nadia found a piece in the Washington Post, and it's about mistakes. Yeah. Hi from Brisbane, Karen Langley. I love the fact that we seem to be getting an increasing Australian viewership. Because I like to go out there and drive around and just meet everyone in the bush. I want to throw a boomerang and I want to hit a kangaroo. Friendlily. Have you seen kangaroos boxing? That's quite something, isn't it? When a kangaroo kicks, you know. So yeah, I was going to talk about Amber Heard. I mean, did anyone catch up with the old Amber Heard thing? For some of our viewers who find it very funny, Amber Turd. Amber Turd. I just think it's really funny that at the centre of this huge public scatological fight is a poo. It's just so strange, isn't it? It's just so strange. Ta-da, Sharona, be careful on the bus. K-Ray, I'm half Aussie. That wasn't great. Okay. Sorry about that, K-Ray. Yeah, Amber Turd. Mark, have you watched I May Destroy It? We keep wanting to, but we'll talk about that at a later date. Going to bed after your natter, Lucy Miller. All right, my darling. What time is it in New Zealand right now? Has Winona given... I don't think Winona has given evidence. It was Amber Heard's former PA yesterday, and it was a curious part of the story. Amber Heard's PA was claiming, that Amber Heard had adopted the PA's story of being raped as her own. It's getting so meta, isn't it? It's getting so sort of like there's the surface story and then there's the surface story and then there's just this weird story going on today. I think Winona is talking today. I'm pretty certain the poo was a dog, don't you? I think someone was having a laugh. And again, we have to be very careful. It's unfortunate that it's a public spat that's being, I nearly said scat, public scat that's being laundered in public. But we don't know, and we will never know the full ins and outs of who was responsible for what. But we do know that the poo popped out. We don't know where from though. Are you doing any more garden lives? We are going to try and do some more garden lives. The only problem with that has been we have been terrorised by an angle grinder next door, and it's really quite unsettling, and it sets our teeth on edge. So of course, yeah, so there's the Amber Heard. The other little detail on the Showbiz front yesterday was Ghislaine Maxwell. What do we think of this? She has a husband, but she's not wanting to mention who they are. Surely there's a way of finding out who Ghislaine Maxwell's husband is. Thanks, Tracy Smith. That's random, but that's great. You're a fantastic dad. I'll take that. I do love skulls and heads, Christina D. 4:44 Tennessee time. What, in the morning, Paula Hoskins? Wow, 9:45 in the morning in New Zealand or in the evening? No, it must be in the evening. Of course it must be. Yeah, we're talking about you, the other side of the world. What was I just saying? Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. Who the hell? Maxwell, a husband. Yeah, and yeah, who's her husband? Who is her husband? Turkey vlog, well, Turkey holiday film, this is way before the days of vlogging, cannot go up. It cannot be uploaded because it's banned because of the music use in it. Could you imagine if it was Prince Andrew? Yeah. Amber, look up on YouTube about Amber and Elon Musk. What the hell's that? What's going on with them? Mystery deepens. Yeah, so apparently there is a husband. And I just find it kind of weird that no one can find out. Maybe old news, but thoughts on the Jada and Will Red Table Talk. Yeah, we have talked about that. The entanglement. They had an entanglement. I get a bit cynical. Was it, you know, I mean, they had the highest viewers ever, 15 million, I think, on the first day of the Red Table Talk, whatever it's called. I don't know. I think it's something they're way over and past, and I just think it was timely that... when will we see Nadia and Dina's garden hot tub area makeover? Whoa, keep watching. Maybe something's going to land later today or tomorrow. Who knows? Of course, you can get Winnie Bigham. You can get a shout out. So guys, give us lots of thumbs up, please. There's going to be, I don't know which vlog, because I've got lots of other work to do today, but around it, there's going to be vlogs going up and, or a vlog going up. And at 5 o'clock, I'm doing a live on my Instagram with a chap who is I don't know if you've seen the t-shirt I wear with the face of William Burroughs. It's a really great illustration, quite dark and twisted. And he does lots of t-shirts and clothes that have skulls and quite twisted, dark, sort of almost mental healthy type sort of designs on them. He has a stall in Spitalfields. Obviously, like most small businesses, have been struggling. So I'm doing a live with him at 5 on my Instagram account, Mark_Adderley. Just have a natter about his work, about mental health, about being a sole trader in these tricky times. Going to have a look at some of his designs and about ethical, sustainable clothes making and all that kind of stuff. So that's at 5. Do go and follow us on the Popcorn Junkies Instagram account. Lots of film news coming there. Obviously, that's going to start to get busier because the cinemas, it looks like cinemas are going to be opening at the end of the month here in the UK, and the Hollywood studios haven't pulled their films yet. Follow the Popcorn Junkies, follow Mark_Adderley if you fancy seeing us live later, having a natter. There's posting lots of stupidity. There's this new photographer, fashion designer called Andrzej Szytejka, who has started to feature on my Instagram feed. Don't know who the hell he is. And Nadia will be back later. I'm sure there'll be something that happens later with Nadia. I'm sure there will be. But have a lovely day and lots of love. All right, guys. Oh, and keep an eye on Nadia Sawalha off the telly's Instagram. There's a very funny photo shoot that's going up on there later today. All right, guys. Lots of love. Bye.